is going to be great for wrestlers, jiu-jitsu athletes, any type of grapplers, but any general strength athletes. Not only we're working the forearm muscles, it's like, no, I'm out. It's anywhere from like 100 up to like 300 pounds. Down, and then work our way back up. Attachment to a dumbbell. We say, hey, we're gonna do this cookie cutter program, one arm deadlifts, okay? When it goes, it goes. Well, we've always done it like that, and that's how we're gonna continue to do it, and that's bull. You got me off. You got me off on a tangent. All right, guys, this is Coach Joe Micela, Performance One Advanced Sports Training. Today's topic is gonna talk about is grip strength. There's multi areas of grip strength that we wanna talk about. There's crushing strength, and there's extension and flexion, there's supination, pronation, there's supporting strength. This is gonna be great for wrestlers, jiu-jitsu athletes, any type of grapplers, but any general strength athlete that has to grab an athlete, they're moving them, whether it's a football player, rugby player as well. There's also great research that shows that as you get older, there's great correlation between having a strong grip and longevity of life. So we're gonna talk about a couple of those exercises in particular. Some of these things you're gonna have in your gym, some things you're gonna have to go out and find some extra pieces of equipment. One thing that we're gonna look at is a dumbbell. Using your arm on a supported box, bench, whatever. The most standard one that we're gonna use is that wrist extension. Supporting that forearm down using that box, we're getting that wrist to fully extend up and to slowly work down, okay? Eccentrically, come up and down. This is gonna also help with golfer's elbow and a little bit of that tennis elbow as well, okay? We wanna work on that extension or the coming up, okay? But we're gonna go really slow on the way down. That opposite motion is now gonna be that flexion, okay, the forearm, okay, the major meat of that forearm. Again, we're gonna use something to support it, a bench or a box, and slowly work on that eccentric load down, and then we're gonna come back up, down, and then work our way back up, okay? Anywhere in the ranges of 5 up to 15 to 20 repetitions when we're doing those particular motions. So again, extending up and down. You're gonna be stronger on that flexion side of the movement versus that extension side of the movement. From there, we're looking at that supination and pronation, okay? That in and then out, okay? When you're working with an athlete or a grappling athlete or a wrestler, there's gonna have that component. What we like to do is we're gonna use a pipe that can be loaded, or if you're just starting out, a hammer. Okay, a sledgehammer. So again, we're gonna come back to that box or a supported, anything supported, it can be a bench. And what we're gonna do, like we're shaking someone's hand, we're gonna do a wrist adduction. We're gonna let it go down, and then we're gonna come right back up. Down, come back up. And then we're gonna go into that again, that supination, pronation. We're gonna rotate that hand down, and then we're gonna rotate it to the other side, while maintaining a neutral wrist and not letting the wrist fall, okay? In, out, pronate, supinate, that whole time. Now to make it more dynamic, like I said, if you don't have a weighted pipe that you can add weight, you can just go to Home Depot and get a 4-pound sledge. And now you're just working, again, those same ranges of motion, but if it feels pretty easy for you, you don't have the access to adding weight to it, then you just do a lot more repetitions in the 20 to 30 rep range, or you're only taking 30-second rest. To increase the difficulty of it, you're gonna get a thicker pipe, okay? This happens to be half of a barbell sleeve. So again, we're still going through those ranges of motion. Why? If it's thicker, that's gonna work the hand more. So not only we're working the forearm muscles through those ranges of motion, but now we have to work that thumb and that grip. Again, the thicker it is, the harder it's gonna be to do, because now you're concentrating on that grip strength, along with now that forearm strength to get it rocking and rolling. So the repetitions are gonna probably be in that 5 to 10 rep range, not gonna be in that 20 rep range initially. Great thing about some of these plates and these pipes that we can load, you can get, over time, you can increase that resistance, get up into that range. What's a good starting weight? I can't really tell you, okay? You're just gonna have to find a weight that is gonna be comfortable for you. It may be that 4-pounder. Now you're like, hey coach, I'm using this 4-pound sledge and it's still too hard. I can't hold my wrist up. Choke up, okay? Choke up to now you can perform that range of motion for those repetitions that you desire, okay? And then as you get stronger, then you can choke down. Once you've choked down, then you can't go anymore with that resistance. Now you're looking at, again, getting a small pipe, putting a clamp on it. This is a 10-pound weight. And now you're getting into that range of motion. You're like, wow, that's pretty good. Okay, and that's now more of a, challenging weight for me, for those 10 to 15 repetition range. And then something like this with a small pipe, then I can slide off the clamp. I can add in 2.5 pounds. I can add on 5 pounds, Once you reach 25 pounds on this, maybe you're going now to something like a sleeve. Once you've got there, give me a call. We'll talk, okay? Because you're pretty strong at that point. Another type of grip strength that we're looking at is crushing strength. Crushing strength is going to be like getting one of these captains of crush. What it is a resistance, okay, as you're bringing it towards your body, okay? And these can range in resistance anywhere from like 100 up to like 300 pounds or more of resistance. Again, you're putting it in your hand and you're trying to now close it as much as you can, okay? And you're looking at, again, anywhere between 5 to 20 repetitions. If you get to 20, it's super easy. Then you're doing it with shorter rests. You're doing it for multiple sets. You're doing it for now with an isometric. So you're crushing it, then holding it for 5 count, and then letting it go. You're crushing it if you've gotten to the point. Or now you're supersetting it in with some of these other movements, okay? So you're combining it. You can use it as a blood flow thing where you're going, hey, we're doing this for a lot of repetitions to increase blood flow through that forearm, or you're doing it for a maximum isometric contraction. I just did something else. I did the wrist curl. I did the wrist extension. I did the hammer. Now I'm jumping into this. And I'm holding it there for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 seconds because you're working on that crushing grip strength. One that I like a lot is an old school one. Is literally just grabbing a plate. You're grabbing a 20 kilo plate, a 15 kilo plate, a 25 kilo plate, and you're crushing it and you're holding it. You're walking with it. You're grabbing that plate, and now you're taking it, we call a handoff, okay? From left side to right side of your body. You're now having to functionally crush that plate, hold it, and now do something with it. Just the force of you moving it around. More advanced, we take it and we'll move it around completely around our entire body. Now it becomes coordinated movement. You're thinking it's about your grip or you're thinking about something else, but in reality now we're doing that. We may do that again in conjunction or immediately right after another movement. May it be the wrist extension, maybe the wrist curl. Form is being taxed in one area, but now we're adding that dynamic of grip. In that training, some people think, well, it's all arm. I'm excluding this from bicep and tricep training right now and just thinking about elbow down. Within that, you have, again, that forearm that we're working extension. Okay, we're working that flexion, we're working that supination, we're working that adduction and abduction of that forearm, and then we have the hand itself. We have the fingers itself. Now, we're not even getting into the fingers specifically right now. That's going to be for another topic. But right now, we're just talking about anything that you're crushing with your forearm and then you're holding. So again, holding onto a plate, you're grabbing, you're walking with it, you're just holding it for time, you're exchanging it from side to side. Another great tool that we like to use is one of the fat grips. And we have them on these bars over here. And what we like to use is fat grip is actually anything that is, again, a bigger than diameter attachment to a dumbbell. Walking and doing farmer's carries by themselves are great, but sometimes we may attach a thicker attachment to the bar, or there's bars themselves that are fat grip. And what we'll do is we'll grab that to perform different exercises, whether, again, we're practicing it, holding it and walking with it, holding it, and then doing a rowing motion with that grip. It just took a weight that would be fairly easy for you at 80 pounds. Now it made it more challenging because now you're talking about increasing it from a 28 diameter bar up to now a 30 or 32 inch diameter bar. Okay, so now your hand is now being taxed. The grip of that bar is being taxed. So now we even get into that 33, which is a fatter grip. Okay, one of fat grip's fattest attachments or heaviest or thickest attachments, and then you're using it to perform one arm gripping exercises, one arm deadlifts, okay? One arm walks with it. So that falls into what category? Isometrically, you're holding that now weight and now you're performing another movement. So now it's through ranges of motion, whether again, it be a deadlift, be a row. I prefer it to be something along those lines. Yes, you can use it for presses. Yes, you can use it for curls. But right now, I prefer to be using it as some type of hold or carry, whether it's to be an isometric hold for position, some type of deadlift where you're alternating your arms or one arm at a time, or you're walking with it. Again, we'll get into a whole other series with finger grip. We're bringing in towels, we're bringing in ropes and doing things. But right now, those standard things. How many sets and reps? Once you've warmed up, minimum 5 sets. You're not even training your grip unless you've done 5 sets. Some of the repetitions, again, are going to range from 5 repetitions to even singles if you're going like heavy. This is a 95 pound dumbbell. So if you're doing the things in that, over 100 pounds for your single grip, it may be that you're doing singles. Okay, but we like to say no less than 5 by 5. 5 sets of 5 repetitions. If you're working on muscular endurance, you're looking at anywhere between 10 to 20 repetitions. And then keep your rest. If it's a maximum effort, you'll notice real quick, other than other muscle groups, when you fatigued your grip or your forearm, When it goes, it goes. You can't take a 30-second rest and come back and figure out that you're gonna do this because your grip's like, nah, I'm out. Like I may need 10, 15 minutes. I may not be able to come back that day. So like I said, if you're going that max effort on that fatiguing of that grip or that forearm and you're filling it a bunch with blood, it's not gonna be able to come back. 5 of 5, like I said, in that range of 5 reps, up to 20 reps. Okay, again, if it's something more simplistic, like a wrist curl or wrist extension, I prefer to keep it in that 10 to 15 repetition range. The extension stuff, like I said, you're gonna use a lot less weight. Keep it minimum of that 10 rep range up to that 20 rep range. Anything where you're crushing and you're holding on to it, like I said, 5 to 10, okay? But then, like I said, take that break, come back, okay? Like I said, minimum is 5. You could be up to 10 to 15. How often, how frequent you can train that grip. Arm wrestlers train their grip almost all, between a grip, their forearm, their bicep, anything in that plane of motion, they're gonna train it almost every day. Now, the volume and the intensity is gonna change, but grip training, again, can be trained almost every day. If you're a wrestler, you have to train your grip. If you're doing a pull-up one day, well, that's grip training. If you're doing rope climbs, you're doing a tug of war with a towel with your training partner, well, that's grip, okay? You're wrestling and grabbing, pulling in a double leg, that's grip. Now, you're doing that. If you're a jiu-jitsu guy, you're grabbing that gi. You may do gi-specific grip strength every day. Now, there's a time and a place. The closer you get to a competition, you gotta back off a little bit. Again, isometric strength versus range of motion, crushing and pulling in. There's gonna be this hierarchy of ability. What can you go to more? Isometric strength, you could train almost every day, okay? Why? You do short duration, boom, 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Okay, crushing strength is a different story. It's going to take a little bit more. Supporting strength, you can train every day. Okay, if I grab a farmer's carry or a dumbbell, I can walk with that every day. Now, am I going to walk with the 130s or 200-pound dumbbells every time? No. Okay, but if I'm just grabbing something or moving it, I need to have that functional everyday strength. Okay, that functional grip strength. Okay, so I can move an 80 every day. I can move a 90-pound. Now, for a girl, it's a different story, but you should be able to move a 30, 40, 50-pound dumbbell every day. Now, it's not going to be 30 sets, 30 reps, but she should be able to move that 5 sets of a farmer's carry, 30 feet, back, down and back, at least, one time, okay, for 5 sets. That can be done every day.
What did you do in college for grip?
What type of training did I do for grip back in my wrestling days of college? Honestly, I know more now than the things that I was doing then. The big things I was doing then was heavy weighted pull-ups on a thick bar. A good 2 to 2.5 inch barbell, bar hanging from the ceiling and weighted. We would try to get up to, I weighed anywhere between 225 to 255 in college when I was wrestling as a heavyweight, both at Rutgers University and Arizona State, and heavy 3 reps, 5 reps. We work with an additional 45 up to, I think the heaviest I ever did a pull-up for multiple reps was probably around 90 pounds additional. So that was well over 300 something pounds. And honestly, we just did a lot of grip where we were hanging on the guy during wrestling, but we didn't do a ton. And I didn't really pick it up that it was super critical. Like I did wrist curls, I did wrist extensions with a barbell and dumbbell. I should have did more, I didn't use a gripper. The captains of Crush may have been around in the 90s. I wasn't aware of them, using them for me. And then our strength and conditioning program, and not knocking any of those guys, they were all good guys, but in reality, they didn't really know how to train wrestlers. So a lot of stuff that we were learning and I was learning, it was on the fly. What wrestlers were doing this. So a lot of extra grip training, whether it be towel hangs or plate carries and holds, was all self-exploration. I didn't do heavy rows without straps, heavy pull-ups without straps. If you're a 200+ pound guy, if you're an athlete, don't use lifting straps on the barbell. Are these guys where you would put on your wrist to help you do a row, do a shrug, do a pull-up where you would strap yourself onto a bar and basically taking, your grip out of the equation. Did I use them at the times? Yes. But then the more I started realizing that was going to make me better at wrestling, I threw these away and tried to use my grip. Did that mean I had to sacrifice the weight I was using for a row or the total reps I was doing in a pull-up? Because, I'm a 250 pound guy. So instead of some 140 pound guy doing sets of 15 for 5 sets of 15 pull-ups, well, maybe I was doing I had to do 8 sets of 5, 5 sets of 8, or 8 sets of 5 with a 25, or 8 sets of 3 with a 45, because that's additionally to my body weight. So and without a strap, it was a lot on my grip. But I felt I had a decent grip, and a strength was never an issue. Now, could have been better? The things I know now, we almost train our wrestlers and our grappler guys like arm wrestlers, because of the nature of how those guys train. Training in that neutral position, whether it be a hammer curl, again, whether that be that crushing grip. That's why I feel, because now I've been such a student of strength conditioning and student of learning from other sports, just not taking from wrestling, just not taking from weightlifting, and now going, hey, what are these arm wrestling guys doing? These guys are friggin' strong. You ever shake a guy's hand as like a high level arm wrestler and you're like, oh my God. Their finger strength, their forearm strength, their bicep, their internal rotation. You don't think a grappler needs that? You don't think a wrestler needs that to pull a guy down when you're grabbing into his head? You're into a collar tie and you have that form, you have that back strength to pull the guy down and then to hold him there, but then to pass by it or arm drag. There's a lot of correlation. Same thing with, like I said, a football player. A guy's coming off and now he's having to grab a guy and push him. That's huge. And taking that and now saying, hey, there's bits of that we can use. There's bits of things I learned from training jiu-jitsu guys, but hey, we can learn that. There's things that football players can learn from wrestlers. There's some things that football players that can now teach other athletes about just being explosive. Overall athletic explosive ability that we can take and use that with a wrestler. Take that and use that with a jiu-jitsu. So I think, like I said, my athletic career and then why I got into this profession, coming from athletics was like just to get better. I wanted to learn how to get better for my sport, and then that evolution, and then hey, you're working with a tennis player. How do you have work on this kid? Recently I just had a kid that their mom and dad told me, hey, he's going to be a drum on the drum line, but they don't feel he's strong enough to handle holding on to this snare drum. And after an evaluation of the kid going like his upper back strength, his lower back strength, his grip, his legs, he doesn't. So now it's like a new challenge. I never worked with a drum line guy before, but you know what? I love that challenge. Whether it's been, working with, paraplegic athletes. Well, how do you get an athlete in a wheelchair to do this, this, and this, and this? All right, let's put our thinking cap on. Let's analyze. Let's evaluate. Let's now look at the practical applications of what they can and cannot do. Let's think outside the box and let's get them to go do something. And some things are going to work, some things aren't going to work. We're using sound principles, science, and biomechanics, but you also got to say, listen, let's have that creativity and that want to get after some things. And that's what I think I bring to the table. I think that's what we bring at Performance One. When we have athletes that come in here, we don't just kind of type fit them in one box. We say, hey, we're going to do this cookie cutter program and use the analogy, well, we've always done it like that, and that's how we're going to continue to do it. And that's bull. Okay, I want to find this athlete. I want to find out what they tick. That's why we call it individual programming. We're going to find out what makes them tick. And you know what? Something that I use now, I may not use again that I used 10, 15 years ago. An athlete that trained with me then goes, you know what? He's not doing the same things. Some things yes and some things no. Because I'm going to find that. And I want the challenge of now creating that program that's going to help them get better. And some of the athletes will go, wow, Coach Joe did that with me 10 years ago. And then you go, wow, what is he doing now? He didn't do that. Hey, the attitude and the energy is still there, but now like some of the modalities are a little bit different. And that's what I think we bring to the table.
Nice.
You got me off. You got me off on a tangent. Any other questions about that, please leave some comments. We're also asking for some additional, if you have a question that you want myself to answer, regarding strength and conditioning, Olympic weightlifting, you're training for your particular sport, let me know. Okay, we worked with a variety of athletes, from wrestlers to NFL players to band members, you name it. We've worked with those guys, okay? But we want to hear from you, okay? If you have any other questions, something that my opinion on that I've worked with particular athletes with, or anything outside the box. And we're always looking for creative challenges. Thanks again, guys.